Bayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magilin, kaya sa sinangalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyagan ang magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ang pagaw, ay hinatang tudlang awit sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di matitigil. Luman ang araw ng walhagin pagsingka, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Lead me, Lord, lead me by the hand and help me face the rising sun. Comfort me through all the pain that life may bring. There's no other hope that I can lean upon. Lead me, Lord, lead me all my life. Walk by me across the lonely roads that I may face. Take my arms and let your hand show me the way. Show the way to live inside your heart all my days, all my life. You are my light, you're the lamp upon my feet. All the time, my Lord, I need you there. You are my light, I cannot live alone. Let me stay by your guiding love all through my life. Lead me, Lord. Lead me, Lord. Even though at times I'd rather go alone my way, help me take the right direction. Take your road. Lead me, Lord, and never leave my side. All my days, all my life. You are my light, you're the lamp upon my feet. All the time, my Lord, I need you there. You
the Virgin of Peña Francia, renowned for healing and exceeding from dawn to dusk. We're singing our praise to Thee, where the flames, sparkling rivers and seas, hills and mountains, trees adore. From the shores across the seas, all nature's gift to Thee abound. Bicolanja, Bicolanja, our native land behold. Albay, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, Masbates also gone. Cities of Irigan, Nagalikaw, Legazpi, Tabacos also gone, and Masbate, abode of noble heroes, land of the free. Oh, Mount Mayon is watching over thee. Bicolanja, Bicolanja, the home of the Oragons. Fearless warriors, bold and aflame, to truth and dignity we give in. Bicolanja, Bicolanja, the home of the Oragons. Fearless warriors, bold and aflame, to truth and dignity we give in. The truth and dignity we give in. We give in.
In the midst of a changing world, they're standing tall, adept at dealing with whatever life affords. With the skills, the wit and wisdom all aglow, they'll find their dreams wherever they behold. Guided by the Almighty, they dwell in harmony with their coastal land and all its nature's grace. Hail to every must, but then you learn the sense. In power they will make our country stand. To make you feel there's so much fun and joy in learning, to keep them safe in every need and right protected, to nurture them and let their passions glow and burning, to light their path and lead them to a righteous life. This is the dream of the division of Masbate, a lifelong quality education for her children. Hand in hand with the leaders, teachers, and the whole community, every noble dream of Masbateños will come true. This is the dream of the division of Masbate, a lifelong quality education for her children. Hand in hand with the leaders, teachers, and the whole community, every noble dream of Masbateños will come true. Come true.
We are guardians of the most beautiful country on earth. We're creative, hardworking, and proud. We are facing big challenges. The Philippines is a highly vulnerable nation of more than 100 million people. We are visited by more than 20 typhoons in a year. Floods, extreme heat, storm surges, disease, it has become worse. But we are doing something about them.
Right now, we are ensuring that the local governments are prepared to deliver on the ask of the Climate Change Act of 2009 by having a local climate change action plan. And these plans should be able to articulate their strategies, their measures to adapt well to the impact of climate change.
We are investing in renewable energy to give us cleaner air. The shift to renewables is a must, and we would like to see a more aggressive shift towards renewables in our power mix.
We are interested in the latest technology for other renewable energy generation, solar, hydro, wind.
Rest assured that we in government shall continue to support the development of renewable energy. Aside from helping us achieve energy sufficiency, this is an exciting time as we are making substantial gains in our social and economic reforms.
Early warning systems to keep us safe from storms. It's very important that preparedness is mainstreamed in our governmental process. In fact, now, it's a rainy season, would receive orange alert, yellow alert. And the challenge there is to simplify, operationalize, make it proactive and more communicative. And replanting mangroves to protect our land. We must preserve the integrity of ecosystems. Our mangroves are the best buffers against storm surge. This is part of our nationally determined contribution, our plan to create a more climate resilient and adaptive Philippines. For everyone.
We are engaging with various partnerships to implement our nationally determined contributions. And we hope that these partnerships will result in very fruitful cooperation to really uplift the situation, especially of the poor, who are most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change.
What is climate change? Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperature and weather patterns. These shifts may be natural, but since the 1,800 human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas, which products heat-trapping gas.
What are the causes of climate change? Causes of climate change can be divided into two categories. One is related to natural processes and the other is related to human activity. First, natural factors such as changes in volcanic activity, changes in the Earth orbit around the Sun. Second, human activity such as the burning of fossil fuels, environmental pollution, the conversion of land and forests for urbanization, deforestation are the responsible for climate change that is referred to global warming.
Impact of climate change has a far-reaching effect on the global warming. It is a much-talking impact of climate change. It is a long-term rise in the average temperature of Earth's climate change. Day by day, seasons is shifting in many countries. Temperatures are climbing and ice is melting faster and faster. Sea levels are rising. More heat-related illness and disease are growing. Storms are becoming stronger. Risk of drought are increasing. Landscapes are changing in the globe. All these things are happening in the globe as a result of climate change.
Nearly all land areas are seeing more hot days and heat waves. The year 2020 was one of the hottest years on record. Higher temperatures increase heat-related illnesses and can make it more difficult to walk and move around. Wildfires start more easily and spread more rapidly when conditions are hotter.
How can we prevent the worst effect of climate change? The first way to prevent climate change is to use alternatives to fossil fuels. Solar, wind, biomass, and geothermal can be suggested as renewable energy, encouraging better use of natural resources, stopping massive deforestation and growing more trees are the other steps to find the remedy of the effect of climate change.
The climate is a very important thing. We should keep harmony between nature and human beings. Then the life on the earth will be healthier and cleaner. So to check climate change, we need to plant more trees. We should stop environmental pollution in this regard. Rich countries and different institutions must come forward. Otherwise, our planet will face many problems very soon due to climate change.
As a young children, we can contribute to prevent the worsening of climate change by planting more trees in our community and encourage people to plant instead of cutting down trees.
We can also use 4 R's of waste management, which is reduce consumption at the source, reuse goods as much as possible to give them a longer life, recycle to the maximum level, recover, that means composting perishable waste at home. The simple things we can do can help our environment to lessen air pollution. This is Ranjulian and Sulibaga.
And I'm Saliza Lynette Ardalupan of Baco Elementary School. We are the warriors of climate change.
I had just come across a quotation which runs this way, and I quote, "We cannot command nature except by obeying her." This quotation prompted me to look back and look around what is happening in my surroundings, in particular the changing of climate of which all of us today are experiencing. With the increase of high temperature, all of us cannot deny that our everyday living is greatly affected. We are now moved by nature to take proper actions for our own good and convenience. We should take actions that will add to the devastation of the world's richness, but rather be obedient to what nature desires.
By doing so, we can decrease, if not totally eliminate, the devastation of global warming. Let us all unite before it's too late. The Earth is the only home we have in this vast universe. To live accordingly to our conveniences, each of us should protect and care for our environment everywhere we are. There is no one who would start to obey what nature commands except to obey.
It may seem unbelievable that people can actually change the Earth's climate, but scientists have observed that people do send greenhouse gases into the atmosphere that make our planet warmer. During the Industrial Revolution, we began altering our climate and environment through agricultural and industrial practices. Before this, humans actually released very few gases into the atmosphere. Since Industrial Revolution, the need for energy to run machines has steadily increased. Energies that make cars run, light and cool our homes come from fossil fuels. Burning these fuels release greenhouse gases.
But we can make a difference. Global warming may be a big problem, but there are many little things we can do to make a difference. If we try, most of us can do our part to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases that we put into the atmosphere.
Here are some additional ways you can help make our planet a better place. Read. Learning about the environment is very important. There are plenty of books that will help you learn. You can also look at the websites with information about the environment and climate change.
Save electricity. Whenever you use electricity, you send greenhouse gases into the air. You can listen this by turning off the lights, the television, and the computer after you are through with them.
Take a bike or walk.
You can save energy by riding a bike or by walking.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. When you reduce, reuse, and recycle, you less trash and help save resources like trees, oil, aluminum, and others.
Plant trees.
Start by planting a tree and nurture it until it has grown to hold water under the ground and reduce greenhouse gases. Trees absorb carbon dioxide from the air. You may not enjoy its shade for the moment, but think of the next generation who would profit from it in the years to come. Sunlight may be scorching, but if your tree is there left standing alive, coolness can't be felt and your legacy will forever be felt.
This is the right time to ask for individual efforts on simple response while there is still time to save the environment. One will be guilty someday if he, she belongs to the generation who contributed in the destruction of the environment or simply did not take into account all the warning signs. It is everybody's concern to unite with one objective and move with one common goal, and that is to mitigate global warming and climate change.
I am Dastan M. Altareos, a grade 5 pupil.
And I am Alina Gillian Pisipo, grade 4 pupil
Of Batuan Central School.
Audio Jungle.
Adapting for a sustainable future is the theme of this year's Global Warming and Climate Change Consciousness. It aims to promote sustainable development of its economy and protect its natural resources for the benefit of all generations. Philippines is a signatory to the Kyoto Protocol, which mandates measures for the reduction of carbon dioxide and other critical greenhouse gases to avert certain catastrophe in the planet, environment, and climate.
Global warming is the gradual heating of Earth's surface, oceans, and atmosphere caused by human activities like indiscriminate logging, improper waste disposal, burning of garbage, smoke from vehicles and factories, and also burning of fossil fuels that pump carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. These are only some of the activities that contribute to global warming.
What will happen to living organisms if our Earth's atmosphere gradually increases its atmospheric temperature year after year? Surely all of us will die.
Being the leader of the student pupil government, we can help or contribute, if not to stop, at least to lessen the effects of global warming in our simple and little ways.
Clean-up drives and proper waste management can lessen the burden Mother Earth is facing. Avoid burning of garbage. Instead, practice the 5 R's. Reduce, reuse, recycle, repair, and recover. Switching to reusable bags and use them consistently than using plastic bags can be of great help.
Go solar. Having solar panel installed is something readily possible and available than burning of fuels in the power plants.
Save energy, turn on lights and appliances when not in use. When you consume less carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere.
And most of all, go green. Plant a tree!
Planting trees can help in reducing global warming than any other method. They not only give oxygen but take in carbon dioxide during the process of photosynthesis, which is the primary source of global warming.
With technology within our fingertips, finding information about protecting the environment is everywhere. To help emit less carbon dioxide, the first step is being aware of how much we can contribute.
Let's end global warming and climate change for a sustainable future.
To achieve our goal,
We are part of it.
Hi, I'm Juan Lorenzo Alvarez, grade 6 pupil.
Hi, I'm Obrian Siribaya, grade 6 pupil.
Hi, I'm General P. De Jesus, grade 6 pupil.
We are from Pamakulan Elementary School.
We are proud to present
Climate change.
Ano ba yan? Ang init naman.
Kaya nga, kakadi, umulan pala. Ang init-init na naman.
Yan ang tinatawag na climate change.
Ha? Climate change?
Ano ba ang climate change? Carbon dioxide on our Earth becomes higher since 1800s. Human activity is the main driver of this climate change.
Our planet are slowly dying. Our people are slowly fading. Some say it is a lie, but our science proves us that it is happening, and we can't deny it. Climate change is real.
Climate change is any significant long-term change in the expected patterns of average weather of a region or whole Earth over the significant period of time, while global warming is the rising of temperature of the Earth because of climate change.
What are the causes of global warming?
Let us talk! Climate 101, Causes and Effects! Ano ba ang sanhi ng climate change? Sino ang may gawa? Sino ang may sala? Makinig, makinig, makinig.
First, manufacturing goods. Manufacturing goods and industry produce emissions mostly from burning fossil fuels to produce energy from making things tulad ng semento, iron, bakal, electronics, plastics, at iba pang bagay. Ang mga minahan at iba pang industrial processes ay nagre-release din ng gases.
Second, generating power and heat by burning fossil fuels tulad ng coal, oil, and natural causes a large chunk of global emission. Most electricity is still produced from fossil fuels, but only quarter comes from wind, solar, and other renewable resources.
Cutting down forests, it may to create farm and pasture or for other reason. It causes emissions since they absorb carbon dioxide.
Climate change has consequences in our ocean, weather, food, and health.
May magagawa pa ba tayo para maiwasan ang climate change? Siyempre! Marami!
Save energy, we can use heat bulbs and energy efficient electric appliances, washing your laundry with cold water, and hanging your things to dry.
Walk, cycle, and take public transport.
The roads are clogged with vehicles, most of them burning diesel and petrol. Walking or riding a bike instead of driving will reduce greenhouse gas emissions and help your health and fitness.
Eat more vegetables. Eating vegetables, fruits, whole grain, less meat, dairy can significantly lower your environmental impact. Reduce plant-based foods emissions and requires less energy, land, and water.
Reduce, reuse, repair, and recycle to protect our climate by fewer things. Shop second-hand and repair what you can, and recycle.
Conserve water. Watch your water usage by turning off faucets when not in use, taking shorter showers, and avoiding unnecessary consumption.
Start small. Little things. Buying local products helps lessen carbon emissions.
You cannot take care of our earth, you cannot take care of yourself.
It's not too late! Magagawa pa tayo! Halina dito para sa atin! That's all for today! Take care!
Process are the same, and the inaction is the same.
Cutting down trees here and there, or the so-called deforestation. Continuous and excessive burning of coal and oil in factories and power plants, releasing huge amount of carbon dioxide and other gases into the atmosphere. Burning gasoline from cars. Using fertilizers containing nitrogen which produce nitrous oxide emissions. Increasing livestock farming. Cows and sheep produce large amounts of methane when they digest their food. And overpopulation. These are the human activities that drives the Earth's temperatures up, known as global warming. One of the hottest topics around the globe is climate change, which is threatening our life on Earth. The alarming increase of temperature is associated with the serious negative natural environmental and well-being and a higher risk of catastrophic changes in global environment. Some of the threats of global warming are mass disease caused by carbon pollution, melting of polar ice into rising sea levels, extinction of species on Earth, strong typhoons, dramatic impacts of droughts and typhoons.
Ang ako sa tubig ito, simula 10 taon yata mahigit pa, 10 taon. Ngayon ko lang nanuhan ko na
There are more climate extremes such as droughts, floods, and extreme temperatures can lead to crop losses and threaten to the livelihood of agricultural producers and the food security of communities. What is also alarming in rising carbon dioxide is that research has shown that it can also reduce the nutritional value of most food crops by reducing the concentrations of protein and essential minerals in most plant species. The future generations are in big trouble if we do not do anything and things continue to go on like right now. Then a day in future will come when humans will become extinct from the surface of the earth. But instead of neglecting these problems, we start acting on them. We can save the earth and our future. So how are we going to fix this global
gases. We can slow down global warming by saving energy around the house or workplace. Turn off and unplug appliances when not in use. Plant trees. By lessening our consumption of meat. Did you know that animals produces methane? A greenhouse gas contributes to global warming. Shifting to renewable energy like solar and wind. Because solar and wind power do not produce greenhouse gases emissions. Reducing the use of cars. Not burn plastic waste. Reducing the use of cars. Instead, you can ride on bicycle. Through riding a bicycle, we can save the world from warming and it makes our heart strong. Reduces risk of diabetes and high blood. Buy refrigerators which are non-CFCs, thus making the earth cooler in the future. Through all this, we can actively remove the harmful gases from the atmosphere that cause global warming.
Ruth Edignos, grade 6. I am Len Margaret Ibihalihay, grade 5. Jason Ribanoy, grade 6.
From Cogon Elementary School, Montreal District. Stop global warming. Help eradicate bad activities cause global warming for the present generation and the generations to come. Let us make our world a better place to live. Our planet Earth is warming from North Pole to South Pole. Since 1906, the global average surface temperature has increased by more 1.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 0.9 degrees Celsius, even more sensitive to polar regions. And the impacts of rising temperature aren't one thing for some far-flung future. The effects of global warming are appearing right now. The heat is melting glaciers and sea ice, shifting precipitation patterns, and setting animals on the move. Other effects could take place later this century if warming continues. These include sea level are expected to rise between 10 and 32 inches or higher by the end of century. Hurricanes and storms are likely to become stronger. Less fresh water will be available since glaciers store about 3/4 of the world's fresh water. Some disease will spread. Ecosystem will continue to change. Other effects could take place later this century if warming continues. These include sea level are expected to rise between 10 and 32 inches or higher by the end of century. Hurricanes and storms are likely to become stronger. Less fresh water will be available since glaciers store about 3/4 of the world's fresh water. Some disease will spread. Ecosystem will continue to change. If you are concerned our planet Earth, we want to act generously to save our planet. Because in the end, we the people will suffer what we have done wrong to our
Over the years, we have witnessed how the Earth slowly deteriorates in front of our eyes. For the past centuries, we have observed huge changes in our planet's atmosphere and temperature. The Earth continues to grow warmer. In fact, according to Goddard Institute for Space Studies or JSS Director Gavin Smith, the last 7 years have been the warmest 7 years on record. Not only does this tremendously affect human lives, but it also brings detrimental effects on our wildlife. Scientists reveal that more than 1 million species are at risk of extinction by climate change.
As time passes by, the Earth's condition grows worse and worse. And the saddest thing about this serious matter is that we, humans, are the most significant contributors to the Earth's destruction. As an inhabitant of our planet, protecting and preserving it should be our top priority. However, human activities supply the majority of greenhouse gases emissions, which is the leading cause of global warming and climate change.
The United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, stated that a certain amount of global warming is lacked and is irreversible. It is estimated that we only have until 2030 to prevent the worst impacts of climate change. This should be our wake-up call when we stand up for the safety of our planet. We must be aware of the impairment that we can potentially give to Earth. As we all know, we live on this planet and the damage that we give to our home will only come back to us. Environmental consciousness, especially towards climate change and global warming, should be prevalent among all of us. But how? Simple. By adapting to sustainable living. Sustainability is vital, particularly in these times where our resources and own planet is leading to degradation. As stated in Brundtland report, sustainable development is a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Humans have to practice utilizing better options rather than choices that will affect our limited resources. This means going organic, living plastic-free, minimizing the usage of appliances and vehicles that release greenhouse gases, reducing waste, reusing the products and recycling items, and many more activities that promote sustainability.
Sustainable living today ensures a much brighter future for the Earth as well as the lives that depend on it. This basically means that we will save our resources and keep the Earth in the best possible condition. Through this, we can provide the future generations with a better place to live in. We can also preserve our wild and plant life. Most importantly, we can make certain that global warming and climate change will not foster.
As early as now, we should work hand in hand to combat global warming and climate change. Let's all work together with consciousness and awareness of the importance and significance of sustainable living, especially now that we are in our journey of making the Earth a better and safer place for all.
Fossil fuels, we know them today as a key culprit behind the climate crisis.
Environmental pollution contributed to the... Dr. Lamberton points out that the gross...
Maayong na adlaw sa iyo na tanan. Or should I say, good day everyone. I hope you are all good despite in the pandemic that we are all facing today. I am Gabriel Cañelas Midalia, grade 6 pupils of Minyo Elementary School, San Fernando District, and welcome to SCI TikTok Vlog. Let's talk about climate change. People are calling it the crisis of our time, and it is. Climate change is upon us. Oceans are rising, fires are raging, storms are brewing. Human activities from pollution to overpopulation are driving up the earth temperature and fundamentally changing the world around us. The phenomenon known as the greenhouse effect gases in the atmosphere, such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons. Let the sun light in, but keep the sun from escaping like the glass wall in the atmosphere. The more heat can trap, strengthening the greenhouse effect and increasing the Earth's temperature. Human activities like the burning of fossil fuel have increased the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere by more than the Industrial Revolution. The rapid increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has warmed the planet at alarming rates. Climate change has consequences for our oceans, our weather, our food sources, and our health. Ice sheets such as Greenland and Antarctica are melting. The extra water that was held in glacier causes the sea level to rise and is still out in the ocean, flooding coastal regions. Warmer temperature also make weather more extreme. This means not only more intense major storms, floods, and heavy snowfall, but also longer and more frequent droughts. These changes in weather pose challenges. Food growing crops becomes more difficult. The areas where plant and animals can live shift and water supplies are diminished, in addition new agricultural challenges. Climate change can directly affect people's physical health. In urban areas, the warmer atmosphere creates the amount of smog. Exposure to higher level of smog can cause health problems such as asthma, heart disease, and lung cancer. But there's still hope on the horizon. We just need to act fast. While the rapid rate of climate change is caused by humans are also the ones who can solve it. If we work to replace fossil fuel with the renewable energy sources like solar and wind, which don't produce greenhouse gas emission, we might still be able to prevent the worst effect of climate change. Be educated. Stop deforestation. Let's plant more trees.
It was a cold, dark, and lonesome night. Zeus' thunder roared across the heavens. The wind howled like praying hyenas, and the rain, as if having no precedent, came pouring down endlessly at will. In everyone's mind, Typhoon Tisoy has overtaken the province of Masbate.
Among the populace affected by the typhoon is Aling Aimee. For her, it did not come as a surprise that Typhoon Tisoy did not leave without a trace. Ano man po ang nagsulod sa isip niyo sa nagkusog na ang oran?
Ang naisip ko dahil na akong mga anak, kay sabi ganyan sinamon kapitan, dito daw yun na maabot na bagyo, anamon atop, ruluho. Isip ko, anak kung aanhon ko, kung dili dahil matapos ang bagyo. Naisip ko man mag-ampo, kay ang Ginoo lagadan makabulig sa aton, kung ano naman mangyayari. Lalo na, sabi gani, ang atong kuno mga kalikasan, wala na nakuha sa puno, dapat maggrabe ang bagyo, kaluoy man namon, di namon aram kung mapakain kami.
Aling Aimee is one of the many people around the globe who is, in some way, a victim of climate change. However, for us to better understand the circumstances that we are in, we must first define climate change itself.
The National Geographic defines climate change as a long-term shift or alteration of temperature and typical weather patterns in a particular region or global setting. The same phenomenon encompasses global warming, which refers to a long-term rise in temperature of the planet.
Us humans have come face to face with these two environmental threats due to multiple disruptive human activities ranging from deforestation, high greenhouse gas emissions from manufacturing and energy generation industries, and overconsumption and excessive use of our natural resources, among many others. In the aftermath, the Earth's temperature increased by 1 degree Celsius since 1900 and is expected to rise anew about 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of the decade, according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC.
This has led to extreme weather events such as frequent and severe droughts, typhoons, heat waves, rising sea levels, melting glaciers, and warming oceans that can directly inflict harm on local flora and fauna species, destroy the places they inhabit, and most probably wreak havoc on people's livelihoods and communities.
As inhabitants of the planet, each of us needs to make few changes to avoid reaching the catastrophic tipping point in order to buy ourselves the necessary time for our economies, technologies, and society as a whole to make vital adaptations towards a sustainable future.
Picture this. You're a college student who is living on a tight allowance that is hardly enough to last you the whole month. So you've decided to properly budget the money you have on hand and cut down on unnecessary expenses until the next tranche of your allowance arrives. This response is called adaptation, and it is exactly what we need to address the effects of climate change.
In history, mankind has undergone countless adaptations for survival. Today, the same can be said in the face of the ongoing climate crisis. Adaptation itself happens in a variety of ways. First is the pressure for regulatory change in government policies. The Philippines, for example, is a signatory to the Kyoto and Paris Protocol, which mandates measures for the reduction of carbon dioxide emissions and other critical greenhouse gases. As a member of the United Nations, we also adhere to the Sustainable Development Goal 13, which calls for action to combat climate change and its impacts.
Adaptation can also be fueled up with technological advances, such as building flood defenses, setting new warning system for cyclones, use of renewable energy sources, and switching to drought-resistant agricultural crops and produce, to redesigning communication system and business operation.
At grassroots level in communities, adaptation takes shape in well-built modern houses, reforestation, practicing non-invasive fishing techniques, recycling of plastics, and contingency plans in times of natural disasters such as typhoon.
Just recently, Google has begun prohibiting ads and monetization of YouTube videos and publisher content that deny climate change or contradict well-established scientific consensus about the causes of climate change. This is a crucial step taken by Google in cracking down disinformation, since majority of people's source of information are from their search engines.
Pursuant to Proclamation number 1667, our annual Global Warming and Climate Change Consciousness Week, with the theme Adapting for a Sustainable Future, aims to amplify the call for greater awareness on the current climate crisis and the ways we can secure a sustainable future for all humankind.
Many people are unaware of what global warming will mean for the human civilization. Too often it seems we underestimate the serious risks involved in failing to act.
At the end of the day, always remember
that the future of all humanity
lies in the hands of our planet,
the climate, and its people.
Let's talk about climate change and global warming. These are both man-made disasters. Climate change is a long-term shift in global temperature and weather patterns, while global warming is the gradual heating of the Earth's surface, oceans, and atmosphere. Carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere are currently 50% higher than they were in 1900, and now, as a result of deforestation, we are still piling more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. We are torturing the Earth to the point where it is becoming more vulnerable. We don't know what would happen in the next years if we continue abusing our Mother Earth. We don't know what would happen if our ozone layer disappears. Time is running. We must take our actions right now. Stop the destruction that we're doing on our planet Earth. Climate change and global warming are global crises. So what exactly are we doing wrong? Scientists say there is 95% chance that human activity is the cause. We've been burning more and more fossil fuels like oil and coal, which release carbon dioxide to power our homes, factories, and cars. Burning fossil fuels also release greenhouse gases. These gases trap heat near the Earth through a naturally occurring process called the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect begins with the sun and the energy it radiates to the Earth. The Earth and the atmosphere absorb some of these energy. Gases in the atmosphere trap heat and reflects back, making the Earth warm. Industrialized nations and developing countries have been increasing their fossil fuel consumption. The concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere will continue to rise. One of the main causes also is our global population, which tripled in the past 70 years. This means the contributors of waste products are increasing too. What are the effects of climate change and global warming? High sea levels. Ice sheets such as Greenland and Antarctica are melting. The extra water that was once held in glaciers causes sea levels to rise and spills out of the oceans, flooding coastal regions. Land and oceans becoming warmer. Warm temperature also makes the weather extreme. Severe drought. It can lead to water supply problems that also damage agricultural business, which is the main source of families' income and food. Wildlife extinction. Species will be unable to adapt to the changing weather conditions and would face extinction. It's not just the humans that are affected, so is our planet's wildlife. Experts' advice for us is to change our ways of consuming and practice self-discipline. Help our Mother Nature to recover and restore its beauty and abundance.
I'm Marjorie Rana Castro. I'm Ira Chanel Martel. And Lynette Micaela Oliva. And here are the things that all of us can do to help prevent climate change and global warming.
Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce our need to buy a new product resulting in smaller amount of waste. Reduce burning fossil fuels by using non-polluting energy sources like solar and wind power. We can help prevent climate change and global warming simply by saving electricity. Reuse and recycle. Reuse and recycle bottles, plastic containers, or any other items you can buy at a store.
Walk or use a bicycle if you can. Walking or using a bicycle help protect our nature. It creates less pollution and results in fewer emissions that are warming our atmosphere. Trees can slow or stop global warming. They take carbon dioxide and release oxygen.
We can buy local fruits and vegetables. This reduces the energy needed to refrigerate and transport them. Support and buy anything local, because local actions equals a world with a safe and clean environment.
Lastly, always do our best to educate people. Tell them about the causes and impacts of natural disasters and how they may help to prevent them. Gather opportunities to share information to everyone, and together we can do it!
Ang problema ko talaga ngayon is that whether we accept it or not, itong climate change
peripherals.
What are you watching, Frederick?
Amy, it is an open letter written in 2050.
Oh, really? What is the content of that letter?
I think it is all about the effects of global warming, which humans was the culprit.
What is global warming? Global warming is the increase of average world temperatures as a result of what we know as a greenhouse effect.
It occurs when carbon dioxide and air pollutants collect in the atmosphere and absorb sunlight and solar radiation that way bounce off the Earth's surface.
Normally, this radiation would escape into space, but these pollutants, which can last for years to centuries in the atmosphere, trap the heat, cause the planet to get hotter.
Land use. Conversion of forest to farm, pasture, residential, and industrial purposes causes emission of greenhouse gas. Since forests absorb carbon dioxide, destroying them also limits nature's ability to keep emissions out of the atmosphere.
Food production. Producing, packaging, distribution of food requires energy to run, usually from fossil fuels, which can also contribute in the emissions of greenhouse gases.
Using transportation, most cars, trucks, ships and planes run by fossil fuels that makes transportation a major contributor of greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide emissions. Road vehicles account for the largest part, but emissions from ships and planes continue to grow.
Generating power. Generating electricity and heat by burning fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas causes a large chunk of global carbon emissions. Most electricity is still produced, only about a quarter comes from wind, solar, and other renewable resources.
Now I know what global warming is and how it results to climate change.
Yes, I agree. And I also learned that we humans had a contribution to the effects of global warming. So, Amy, what do you think the solutions or way that people can do to address this problem?
Para po sa inyo, ano po ba ang mga nagawa na at magagawa pa ng mga hakbang upang maibsan o masolusyonan ang banta ng global warming o pag-iinit ng daigdig at climate change?
Control yung mga pag-awa ng mga factories. Ang malaking epekto dito sa ating global warming ang mga makinaryas na pupuan ng usok. At saka ikalawa, yung pagsusunog ng mga plastic. Yun ang sumisira sa ating ozone layer. Yun lang ang dapat na gawin ng mga sumunod tayo sa patakaran ng ating pamahalaan o mga tuntunin para maiwasan natin o makontrol natin itong global warming.
If they done their part, how far could you do?
Is it the last chance to save the planet from climate change?
Tens of thousands of activists warning climate change is destroying the Earth.
Biggest cause in Hollywood is saving the Earth. You know, climate change and all that.
Long before modernization,
The presence of global warming is widely known. Just in the last 650,000 years, there have been 7 cycles of glacial advance and retreat, with the abrupt end of the last ice age about 11,700 years ago, marking the beginning of the modern climate era and human civilization.
Who or what do you think is the biggest enemy of Mother Earth and why?
I believe that the real problem in this world is not climate change. The real problem is us because of our ignorance and apathy. What we have to do is to start changing our ways, to start recalibrating our minds and redirecting our steps, because together as a global community, our micro efforts will have a macro effect to help save our home, our planet, our behavior. Thank you.
Miss Earth 2017 Karen Basco is absolutely right. The real problem is us. And why do you think? See for yourself.
Isn't it painful to accept that we ourselves is one of the reasons our Earth is hurting? Honestly, have you thought of something you can do about this?
Healing the planet starts in your home, as empower your home with renewable energy. Reduce water waste, absolutely not burning your trashes, and traveling less via vehicle.
Plant trees instead of cutting it and advocate for a healthy planet. These simple changes can help in our battle with climate change.
The causes, effects, and complexities of global warming are important to understand so that we can fight for the health of our planet. Just always remember that the more we do less, the more we save our planet.
Even as the spotlight shines bright on global warming here at the Climate Summit in Scotland, the impact of the climate crisis is wreaking havoc on coastal communities all around the world. Rising sea levels triggering menacing storm surge and threatening livelihoods at homes along the so-called Venice of Africa.
Much has been done, but there are still more to be done. It is not about yesteryears and the forthcoming years. It is about this moment. The current state of our environment presents a grim forecast for the future of humanity and our planet. Drought, wildfires, intensifying storms, floods, deaths from diseases, and economic crisis. Are we going to live with it? Who is the culprit after all?
One of the key findings on Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is that there is 95% certainty that human activities are responsible for global warming. Most of us may be unaware that our simple and usual daily activities are continuously contributing for the dreadfulness we are experiencing nowadays. From the time we take a bath to start our day, keeping our phones on to receive updates and messages, spending the whole day with the lights, electric fan or air conditioner, watching television, consuming processed foods, using computer, riding a vehicle, and many other stuff. These things are ordinary and may be necessary, but these add to our carbon footprints. Imagine our planet with 7.9 billion people, each with their own carbon footprints.
Young activists have said many times before,
Our future is non-negotiable. We should act now.
As stated by the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, during the COP26,
Let us seize this moment so we can recover cleaner, rebuild greener, and restore our planet.
we may have reached some of the tipping points because of our actions, but we could still take our part to help attain our sustainable future. This moment is our time. Greta Thunberg would say,
And change is coming whether you like it or not.
let us take it slowly, but surely. What steps can we do? Continue educating ourselves and others. Follow the United Nations Act Now on climate change. Save energy at home. Walk, cycle, or take public transport. Eat more vegetables. Consider your travel. Throw away less food. Reduce, reuse, repair, and recycle. Use renewable energy source. Plant more trees. Protect and conserve the natural habitat of our flora and fauna. Let us make our climate change pledge for our net zero carbon by 2040. Lastly, let us work together. Put our mind and heart into action. Our planet had come so far and experienced many great wrath. Let us make it a better place for us and our children's children.
fantabulous day to all. God has bestowed a wonderful world for us to live in. You and I are the stewards in preserving His creations. The last decade was a tough one. People hope to see change as children, and the learners in general promote scientific progress that will make life easy, creating a habitat for new genes with the influence of the new technology, which is an inseparable part of society. Our Mother Earth is facing climate change and global warming. Human activities have contributed much to the changes on Earth's climate and atmosphere. The current warming is anthropogenic, created by humans. The most significant cause is from fossil fuel emissions, such as burning, be it in a car, airplane, or coal plants that build up more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Hydrofluorocarbons and perfluorocarbons that have been damaging the ozone layer, and some other gases that trap the solar energy and contribute to greenhouse effect. That's why there's a gradual increase in the Earth's temperature, which we commonly call global warming.
Learners of the new decade must strive hard and even go beyond science clubbing to develop action plans that help heal the world and have a strict implementation of their governing laws and concerns about environmental precautionary issues to increase public awareness so that children's endeavors for the future can help enhance our well-being and the quality of the world's environment is safer for all God's creations. My name is Chasel Guain Oroa, Creighton student of Tomas V. Rivera National High School, Kawayan East District, your eco-warrior to mitigate climate change and global warming.
What brought you here, sir? Do you seek to know about the future?
It may be weird as a science believer to come to a fortune teller, but I need to know about what will happen to the world if humans didn't stop being cruel to the environment.
What you've said is what I will see. Through my magic, here is the future of human cruelty. A future filled with fire, droughts, and uncountable storms. Cities and countries that are drowned by the sea due to the heating of ice from the Antarctic snow. Pollution is what surrounds the globe, along with the waste that people have thrown. Nations and leaders fighting for trees, seeking solutions to aid the wrath of unease. A sad future it is, all due to human cruelty.
Why did the fortune teller foresaw this future?
Well, after years and years of technological modernization and development, our Earth is finally reaching its limits. As the global population continues, our consumption is also ever growing. Through human activity, greenhouse gases increases abruptly in the atmosphere. And since the beginning of Industrial Revolution, it leads to more heat retention and an increase in the surface temperature. With the help of atmospheric aerosols, it altered climate by scattering and absorbing solar and infrared radiation, which resulted to the change of the microphysical and chemical properties of clouds. Climate change has always happened on Earth. Its rapid rate and the magnitude is now the greatest concern worldwide. Now, we only have 9 years left to prevent the irreversible effect of climate change. If we don't start now, then the future foretold by the oracle will transpire. However, there is a way that we can do to have a better future, one that will meet our expectations and one that will mold our society to be technologically, environmentally friendly. Hurrah! A future where both nature and machinery could live together. But how is this possible? Well, through sustainability and sustainable development.
But what exactly is sustainability? Sustainability is a broad term that describes managing resources without depleting them for future generations. This concept goes beyond environmental sustainability, which concerns Earth's natural resources, to include economic and social sustainability, which relate to meeting people's current economic and social needs without compromising future generations. How about sustainable development? Well, sustainable development is the idea that human societies can live and meet their needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own. Specifically, sustainable development is a way of organizing society so that it can exist in the long term. Sustainability encompasses 3 pillars: economic, environmental, and social, also represented as profits, planet, and people. The pillars of sustainability are often visualized as a Venn diagram, where the 3 pillars, represented as a circle, intersect to share a common center, the area of sustainability. This visual illustrates that sustainability can only be achieved when all 3 pillars are addressed together.
Now that we know the definition, it's time for us to learn if whether what we do as an individual is sustainable or not. Ask yourself if what you do can be done over and over again forever. Does this not deplete natural or non-renewable resources? Or does this not directly harm the environment? Asking these questions when either buying products, doing business, or making actions is a great way to practice sustainability. As a community or a nation, it is necessary for us to invest in infrastructures and sources that are beneficial. After all, local communities are the core of sustainable development. Here are some examples of ways we could do so. Using renewable energy, such as solar energy or wind turbines, are essential to sustainability. They generally strengthen energy security and emit far fewer greenhouse gases than fossil fuels. However, it should also be observed to use less energy and water so that the value or cost is also in minimum. offering eco-designs, products, and packaging that uses just what's necessary in order to save materials and reduces shipping costs. Sustainable construction, building homes, offices, and other structures that are energy efficient and that incorporate renewable and recycled resources is a way to incorporate sustainable development into residential and commercial construction. Sustainable transportation. In an effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, sustainable transportation is important. Communities utilize various tried methods to encourage different modes of transportation, such as public transit systems, providing bicycle lanes in the road infrastructure, highway carpool lanes, and increase in width of pedestrian walkways.
As humans, we are obligated to do more. We have the power to change our future.
Through research and science, we could make anything. It all depends on how we use it and how we behave.
Even though there are problems that seem to have no solutions, we all could do it, magically or naturally. Climate change,
global warming,
and many more can be battled by sustainability and sustainable development.
A sustainable future starts with us.